Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I think Tiana said there's big. All right. Good morning. It's early Saturday morning here, February 26th. So excited to be having our first leadership meeting here at the place. Hello to those out on Zoom. So we're also making this available on Zoom, and we will also be recording this for folks to check it out. So, guys, we're here in the 11th month of existence of the place, and we're really excited about what God is doing here. Yes, 11 months. We're almost at that year mark. So we're really excited. And Pastor Pearl and I, what we really believe that leadership is important. And I'm not going to talk anything about leadership because I'm going to let the speaker do that for today. But what we thought would be important before we decide to put anybody in leadership, that we set the ground level and that everybody understand from the same perspective of what leadership is, what our heart is about leadership. And then once we do that, everybody is on the same page. And then when God leads us to move people into leadership positions in the church, then we'll be ready, because everybody is a leader in their own right in different spheres of influence. I'm not going to belabor the point tonight. I want to introduce our speaker for the day. I'm going to try not to mess it up because I know one of our friends introduced somebody one time. He's like, he could never do introductions again. But anyway, I got my good friend coming from Fredericksburg, Virginia. There's a whole lot about him. He's 2 years in the Marine Corps. He was a drill instructor, not a drill sergeant. He's in the Marine Corps, so I had to make sure I get that right. He was actually at his time as a drill instructor, he was voted the best drill instructor. He's a foremost leader on leadership. His beautiful wife Trina is here. He has 2 kids, Takaya and Tony, who are back in Virginia. I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm excited to get up here and see what he has to bring for us from God. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Tony Barnett.
Hey, good morning, everybody. All right, so don't believe anything that he said. And we've been friends for a long time. You know, friends embellish, they make stuff up, all that other stuff. I'll tell you the things, I tell you this, whatever you hear from here right now, from this point forward, you can believe until he starts talking again. Then you don't dismiss that. So we had a routine and we were getting ready to get started and we drove all the way down. You notice I keep saying we because I brought my beautiful wife with me. My wife's name is Trina in the back right there. See, you can wave at everybody. Next March 20th, we have been married 30 years. 30 years. 30 years. She don't she don't look that old. Yeah. You're right about that. I noticed that y'all keep saying she doesn't. That's all right, though. That's all right. So 30 years next month, and as he already pointed out, that we have a son and a daughter, but he forgot to mention my second daughter that he probably doesn't know about. My second daughter, look, Pearl is sitting back like they got another kid. Calm down. My son is probably very close to proposing. So I'm, yes, yeah, I think so. Or maybe I'm speaking it into existence now. My son's girlfriend is, her name is Bria. And yeah, we think it's going in that direction. So we don't normally do the in-law type thing. So she's our second daughter. She's our oldest daughter. The beautiful thing about this is that Bria and my son Tony were best friends in high school. And on the day of graduation, Pearl and Ed might remember this. We had a celebration, and I got all the graduates together in the room, and I prayed for them. And Bria was in the room, so I brought her up, and I prayed for her. But she didn't know that while I was praying for her, I was actually praying for her. You'll get it later. Yeah. So I was praying for her with all the graduates, but I was actually praying for her because I knew she was going to be good for him. And then they make us wait all these years. They graduated in 2014. They start seeing all types of people that, could have messed things up, but praise God that they didn't. And now the two of them have found love from each other. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful story. So I'm proud of both of them, happy for both of them. Yeah, I'm overjoyed by that. So we drove 5 hours to hang out with y'all today. I got a couple rules. I just need y'all to follow me on this. Rule number one. Well, let's do this a different way. I have a note under a chair at that table. So I need y'all to check your table. Check your seats. Yeah, keep in mind, I knew where it was, but I just didn't want to tell you. Can you read that? Yeah, stand up and read it for everybody. So let me interpret what I'm trying to say. If you came here today with the mindset that this was going to be like this serious 2.5 hour session where we were not going to have fun, I'm going to wait a few minutes for y'all to go ahead and leave now, because that's not what we came to do. I fully believe, because I understand that if God did not have a sense of humor, some of us would have never been created. No. I think a lot of us, to include myself, have been placed on the earth for his entertainment from time to time, but he never leaves us nor forsakes us. So that means it must be okay to have fun. And I think that when we get together in church arenas, a lot of times it gets so serious, and it can get so serious that you will miss it. Okay, so I need you all to join me today and have fun with me, because regardless, I already driven the 5 hours to get here. We went to a wonderful worship night last night, and they didn't let me sing, but that's okay. What was the guy's name that was leading? I'm gonna reach out to him, but it was a beautiful worship night. I'd never seen anything like that before, and it was what was beautiful about it, if you'll allow me to go here, was there were people that looked like everybody there. Okay, when you worship, I think that kingdom is colorblind. I think that kingdom is not one of those things where you're restricted to your own ethnicities. I think that kingdom is a place to be free, and that's what I saw last night. And it made me emotional. The worship was awesome. There was a guy standing beside me that was trying to sing. I mean, he kind of messed me up a little bit a couple times, but I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. But it was a good thing. What you see in front of you is a handout, and we're going to go over the handout. I'll be speaking from here on a couple different things. If I remember, I'll probably say, hey, this is in your handout. If I miss something, please let me know. What you see under the handout, I'll tell you what, let's do that. Lift up the handout. I think you probably have two cards in front of you. I firmly believe that while leaders are set to influence, leaders also need to be influenced. And while leaders are set to encourage and to motivate and to help people in certain instances, people forget that leaders also need to be motivated and need to be encouraged and be helped. Those cards they're my cards. Now I know how many cards I have, so don't. She already looking like she's gonna put the card back on the table. These are cards that I have in my office that I oftentimes will read to myself every day. And then I'll normally send an entire email of the card. I'll just type it and send it to my team. And as we'll discuss later, most of you get the positive feedback. Oh, thanks for that. That was great. You get the You get the, man, that was really encouraging. I really appreciate that. But I want everybody to understand that, you know, what's encouraging and motivating to you, or what's encouraging and motivating to some may not be motivating to someone else. And there's no need for you to get discouraged. I mean, as a leader, you need to understand the one thing that's important. You have to remember this, or you'll never be okay. You have to keep this in your head, or you'll never be at peace. You have to keep this in your heart, or you'll lose your mind. Is that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you operate, you're going to offend at least one person. You're going to offend at least one person. You line 10 people up against the wall, 9 people will love what you did. One person will have something to say about it. And here's the funny part. You have to prepare yourself to accept that. You must prepare yourself to accept that. And we'll get into that a little later. So, a couple of things we'll talk about today are leadership. Is it necessary? Leadership, if I accept a leadership position, what's required of me? And then leadership, what does the senior leaders owe? What do the senior leaders owe? We're going to do it relatively quickly. I know we've got time set up for what, 9 to, and we may not be here that long, or we could be, but we won't go past that. And it'll be based on questions. If you have a question at any given time, please raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and answer that for everybody. Thanks for bringing that up. So there's no such thing as a dumb question. Okay, there is no such thing as a dumb question. So promise me now that you won't judge me for asking dumb questions, because there's no such thing. Because if it's an environment that's conducive to learning, then the person has to be able to ask what they need to ask without fear of people looking down upon them because they don't know. Okay, so let's have fun. Let's enjoy this. I'm starting out with a video. It's one of my favorites. Pete, please pay close attention to the words.
If you want to eat healthy,
That's not it.
you gotta try red chow.
There are only 2 animals on the planet that the Creator identified himself with. The first one is the eagle. The eagle. And the second animal is the lion. And when I identified those 2 animals as his favorite to identify himself with, I recognized I better study these 2 animals, because if he is the leader of the universe and I want to be a leader on earth, I better find out the nature of these animals and also the attitude of these animals. And I discovered that both of them are the kings of their domain. The eagle is the king of the bird kingdom, and the lion is the king of the animal kingdom. But let's talk a little bit about the lion. The lion has what I call the spirit of leadership. And this word spirit here is referring to attitude. Everybody say attitude. A leader has an attitude that makes him or her different from followers. Now, the lion is the king of the jungle, but the lion to me is a great source of encouragement to all of us. I want you to write this down. Remember this as long as you live. Number 1, the lion is not the tallest animal in the jungle. Number 2, the lion is not the largest animal in the jungle. Number 3, the lion is not the heaviest animal in the jungle. Number 4, the lion is not the smartest animal or the most intelligent animal in the jungle. And yet, when he shows up, they all run away. Well, here's one of my favorite quotes that I put in my books, and I believe it really brings home the point. An army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lions led by a sheep. And the answers to that dilemma is this: because leadership can transform cowards into violent warriors. The right kind of leadership can transform a timid into bold people who are fearless. Leadership is that powerful. Leadership can walk into a camp of depressed people, and in 20 minutes, they have turned on into unbelievable, powerful armies. Because leadership determines everything. The lion is the king of the jungle because of one word: attitude. Everybody say attitude. Write it down. Attitude. The lion has a different attitude that makes every animal afraid of him. Now, we don't want to lead by fear, but it does take respect for you to become a leader. When I use the word fear in the jungle, we're talking about respect. The elephant respects the lion. The hyenas respect the lion. The giraffes, they respect the lion. What makes these massive animals respect such a small cat? The attitude is the difference. For example, a lion will see an elephant, and the thing that comes to his mind, one word: lunch. I could eat this thing. And he acts the way he thinks. Now, here's another amazing mystery. The elephant is larger, bigger, stronger, more powerful, heavier, and more intelligent. And yet, when the elephant sees the lion, one word comes to mind: eater. Attitude is a product of belief. You cannot have an attitude beyond your belief. So your attitude comes from your belief system. The lion is the king because of what he believes about himself.
Led by a sheep will always be defeated by a pack of sheep led by a lion. Doesn't even sound realistic. But what is he really getting at? Right, the legendary Miles Monroe. I mean, we could talk about him all day, but what was his point? His point is simply this: the people following you are going to, in a perfect world, adapt the mindset and the influence that you bring. If you believe that it can be done, they're going to believe that it can be done. If you don't believe that it can be done, they're going to pick up on that. As a matter of fact, because people are as smart as they are today, it won't take long for them to pick up on that. And the last thing that a leader wants to be is exposed as a fraud. Okay, so a couple of points. And this is in your handout. Leadership, the definition of leadership is the position or function of a leader, a person who guides or directs a group. It is the ability to lead. It is an act or instance of leading, guidance, or direction. The leaders of a group. A leader is a person or thing that leads. A guiding or directing head, as of an army, movement, or political group. Now, I'll ask you a question. Is leadership necessary in church? I think so. Okay. All right. Anybody disagree? Okay. So now we got to the point where I've laid out a piece of paper, and I'm going to ask each of you to, if you're so inclined, to work together with your teammate at your table and tell me on that paper, what is the makeup of a leader? What do you think a leader is made of? We'll take 9:23. Need another piece of paper? I got it. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. Okay. So can I have a representative from each table to talk about what they wrote? And who wrote this book right here? Okay, all right. So tell us what you got.
Like holistic wellness. Oh. Should I take this off? Yes. Okay. Relational availability, vulnerability, discernment, holistic wellness, like takes care of themselves fully, honesty, humility, tenacity, commitment and consistency, insight and foresight. We also put vision with that, confidence and boldness, flexibility, open-mindedness, communication, having a strong support system or strong counsel, patience, joy and contentment, prayerful, biblical, worship-based attitude, hardworking attitude, and teachable with a growth mindset.
I have more. Okay, whose is this? The second one. Okay, who's gonna be the spokesperson?
Okay, so we had character models Christ. So we were thinking particularly about like when Christ withdrew and he had prayer time and kind of how he led. Confidence and humility, which we were talking about, kind of almost seems like opposites to a lot of people, but they can work well combined. Healthy, spiritually healthy. We had integrity. Utilizes, what does that say? Utilizes wise counsel. The people you keep yourself with. So also establishes a support system to help. So a team, like, so knowing when to delegate. We were thinking particularly of Moses, how a lot, because that confidence thing, I know a lot of Christians who disqualify themselves from leadership because they are not yet confident. And yet God called Moses before he was confident at all and immediately sent him Aaron. And then Mark was bringing up how as Moses developed his confidence, he and his leadership skills, he immediately learned to delegate to others too. So also vision, which was a great one. Without a vision, the people perish. Courage and attitude.
Thank you. Who's that?
That's right. That's right. So positive attitude, lead by example, respectful, honest, truthful, visionary, focus, great listener, wise, discernment, flexible, understanding, communicator, and conqueror. Is that what we have?
Okay. All right, and the last one. Come on, Pastor. See that? That's on it.
All right, for our group, we came up with good listener, have integrity, have a servant heart, have empathy, have compassion, is dependable, is forgiving, be able to influence others, has humility, and has a sense of humor.
Awesome. They're all great, right? Would everybody agree with everything that's up there? Okay, well, that's good. I would too, but I asked for the makeup, not characteristics, not qualities, not definitions. Your makeup is your mind, your body, your spirit, your heart, your emotions. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Mind, body, spirit, heart, emotions. Why is that important? Because every day, let's kick church to the curb for a second. Every day when you go to work and you assume your leadership position, you take everything to work with you that happened in your house. So to think, and I work with some people that think this is possible, to think that you can walk through the door and none of that bother you anymore. I'm sorry, that's tomorrow. To think that you can leave all of your family mess in the car is a fault. We don't need to lie to ourselves. Because if we are lying to ourselves, it enables us to lie to the people that are going to come through the store. And then the place is not really the place it needs to be. I mean, I tricked everybody, but I love this book. I'm taking this with me, and that's going, you're not keeping that. All right. I will let Corey do that because Corey's my man. Right? And if he can wear skinny jeans, oh, okay. Okay, listen, Corey. The skinny jeans, that's you, my man. But but do you see where I'm going with this? Okay, yes. Do you have a question? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, we need to pray for her right now. Just okay, go ahead. Yes. We cannot, right? I mean, and I'm admitting that I tricked you. I mean, I admit it, but that's where I wanted you to go because those are all great qualities and we're going to get to those. But the bottom line, first and foremost, you wake up in the morning, family, right? I mean, it's family. It's the house. It's if you're like me, I don't know why. I mean, I know when I went to bed, I know how much money I have. But when I wake up first thing in the morning, I got to look at the bank account for some reason. I don't like you do the same thing. Okay, like somebody went, but that's what I do. So there are things that mess with us that that are normal life things, and I find it. I'm gonna use a word, and I don't mean to be insulting. I find it fake that we as Christians come through this door and act like we didn't have a challenge all week long. But I understand as leaders, notice the difference. I said as Christians, it's fake to pretend like we don't have any challenges. But as leaders, you just hit the nail on the head. They don't care that you had challenges. They just see Sister Rebecca comes in, they know she's the spiritual giant, and I need her to pray for me because I know she gets her prayers answered. Sorry, I gotta stay in the camera. So are we all on the same page there? You cannot separate your spirit self, okay? Your spirit, let me say this correctly. You cannot separate your spiritual self from your worldly self all the time. We do have our spiritual moments. I had a wonderful one last night. Again, they didn't let me sing, but I didn't let that deter me. You know, I dealt with my feelings, but I'm still human. And I'm going to bring my human nature wherever I go. So that's the first thing we need to remember, okay? I think that church leaders, and notice I started out with saying, I think that church leaders fit into 3 different categories, okay? The first category is spiritually mature, but can't lead ants to food. Spiritually mature, but can't lead ants to food. Have you ever met a person that was so spiritually minded that they were no worldly good? Okay. All right. Just hitting the point. Number two, I think they're good leaders. Some of them are good leaders and great leaders, but they have no spiritual maturity. There are people that are in leadership roles in churches, and this is not their fault because they needed somebody in that position, not because the person was prepared for that position. And that's dangerous. That is extremely dangerous. If I learned from one of my previous mentors, if you do not have the right person, leave it empty. You leave it empty. God will provide. You will look for, God will provide. Now, when I say God will provide, I am a big advocate for you doing your work and your homework. Don't sit at the table and wait for God to send you somebody. Okay? So, and then there's the last category, which is a balanced combination of both. A balanced combination of both. Got your spiritual maturity, you got your good leadership skills, and guess what? You're still working on it. I'm trying to rush because we ran over some time, and I want to make sure I give you all a break. So when I asked the question earlier, right, is leadership necessary in church? I got a lot of yeses, and I agree. But there are some instances where leadership is not necessary. And that's where you as leaders come in. See? There are things, come here, sir, if I can use you. There are things that I know Bryce just knows to do. I have been here 3 times. How many times? 7. I've been here 7, not 7, 7 times. I've been here 4 times. And each time, without being told, this man comes in and starts working. Don't necessarily need leadership to tell him what to do. You see what I'm trying to say? So in an instance where leadership was not needed for him to know that when I get there, I got to go to work, leadership is still necessary, right? Because there might be somebody over here who might see Bryce carrying speakers and wires and cords and all types of stuff, and they sipping a latte, you know that. So you might have to come over and say, do you mind helping the brother out? You know, and then they look at you like you got 2 heads. Thank you, sir. All right. So leadership is necessary, but when it's necessary, the leader knows it's necessary. You ever had somebody, it's probably some of us, who got involved when they didn't need to get involved? Right? It happens, right? They see something, there is no need to go over there. They got it covered. But here they come. And they want everybody to know that they came. And they want to start telling people, this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. The quickest way to lose people is to act like you are the man. Always remember that. That's why another reason why I played the lion video. Miles Monroe talks awesomely about the lion being so fearful and intimidating, and the lion is all of that. But if you've ever watched a male lion lay down and let those cubs jump all over him and pull on his mane and bite him and all this, he never does anything to hurt those cubs. He just lays there. Mostly lays there because he's lazy. But the cubs crawl all over the line, pull all on the line. They just want to play with the lion, and he plays back with them, this and the other. But let another dangerous animal come into that area. Then we get to see the other side. I love the lion. I probably did that more for me than for anybody else. No matter what category you find yourself in of the 3 we just discussed, even if you're number 3 with the balance of both, you must understand that education is necessary and it's continuous. You just don't arrive to leadership and say, I'm here. This is where I'm going to be. Some of you may get a call from Pastor Ed and Pastor Pearl, and everybody asks you, hey, you know, we got God laid upon our heart to do so and so. Now, if God laid it upon their heart, it's your responsibility. Now, we have been friends for 14 years. So they pretty much knew all the things that I was going to talk to you about. I didn't give them the outline, but we have kindred spirits. Like I could say something right now. This is how tight we is. He'll know exactly what to say. Right? If I say we ride together, he'll say, you see what I'm saying? We've been like that for years. And Pastor Pearl, she thinks it's funny, but when he was moving down here, I'm gonna share this with y'all. They were in our spare bedroom, and I went to say goodbye to him, and it was one of those moments, man. We were just standing there crying, and we said that to each other. And in this gentle moment of grown men crying and hugging, they said, "Bad boys for life, man. I love you, man. We ride together." He said, "We die together." She laughed. We did our thing, shared us, and she like, still ain't forget you for that. Always remember that when you're asked to be in a leadership position, there are three things that I want you to consider. What are the requirements? What is my commitment? And what is the expectation? That's not in your handouts, but you can write it down if you want. What is my requirement? What is my commitment? And what is my expectation? Hopefully you caught it. I said, what is my expectation? Not what is their expectation of me. Because when you're involved in something, you should have an expectation of yourself. But those are not normally the things that we consider up front. What we normally want to worry about and consider more so than what our requirements and what our commitment is and what the expectation is, who's in that ministry working beside me? And do I like them? Can I stand them? Oh, I'm sorry. This will take us back to the makeup of the leaders. I know not nobody in here. It must have been some of the other churches I went to. Y'all don't think like that because this is the place. Yeah. You think about who you have to work with. If I'm lying, you tell me. You can say it out loud. Tell me I'm lying. Okay, all right, thank you. There's nothing wrong with that. You are human if you're nothing else. And so if you have to think about who you have to work with, then here's some advice. Try to get to know them for who they are. Because there is a reason. Everybody sitting in here right now has a reason for the way they operate. And that reason is justified. I want to ask a question of you. If you don't get a call and asked to become a leader one day in this church, does that change what God said to you about the place? Does that mean that the place is not the place for you? Because believe it or not, some people go from church to church to church to find the spot that they can shine. Some people go from church to church to church to find a spot where they can get people to support their business. Some people go from church to church to church to find spouses. They do. It's true. They move around. Go to one church and you don't see a lot of good-looking women in that church, you go to another church. If all the women speak in tongues and that scares you, you go to another church. Right? You're a female, you go to a church and all the men driving broke cars and they don't have no nice, decent clothes, you go to another church. Y'all think I'm playing? I'm telling you, this happens. Not very many people come to Christ because they love Christ. Okay? People normally walk through doors like these because they've had something go wrong. And they have been told from a young person, all you need is God. God can fix it. You need to get yourself in the church, right? So what can titles lead to? Because titles can be dangerous, but titles can be a good thing. Titles can lead to competition. Titles can lead to envy. Titles can lead to jealousy. Titles can lead to hurt. Titles can lead to bitterness. But on the flip side, titles can also lead to order. Titles can also lead to excellence. And titles can also lead to aspirations. I'll tell you, when you walk into any organization, it does not necessarily have to be a church, but we're in a church environment, so I'm going to utilize church. Okay. When you walk into a church and you see a leader, male, female, operating in excellence, operating in humility, talking to people in the manner in which you think they should be talking to people. They're very polite. They're very respectful. They're not wearing their title on their shoulder or their sleeve so you can see it. It's impressive. I don't care who you are, finding somebody in a position of authority that knows how to conduct themselves and deal with people is impressive. You don't believe me? When we get done, go to Chick-fil-A. How may I serve you? I didn't like Chick-fil-A for years till I went in there and heard that one day. Paid attention one time when I was paying at the register. She said, how may I serve you? How may you serve you? Let me get 5 sandwiches. Because the only time I'll get treated like that is when I go to Disney World. Now, I love Disney World. I'll leave y'all right now in the middle of this lesson to go to Disney World. Somebody give me a thought, okay? It is the manner in which you treat people, right? It is the manner in which you treat people that makes them want to come back through the door. If I come once and I feel like I was disrespected, that's not necessarily going to make me want to come back. You know why? Because I'm not yet at the point where the word matters to me that much. It's growing. It has to be done in stages. So while I came to visit your church and I liked your church, I liked the psalmist, I like the atmosphere. There was that one individual that came up to me and treated me like I was a baby Christian and had no knowledge, no understanding, didn't comprehend the word. That made me feel like I don't think I want to go back there. I was insulted. It can happen. Here are 3 leadership principles. Now, I borrowed these today from the Marine Corps, but they work. Leadership principles are these: know yourself and seek self-improvement. We can stop talking about everything that I have left on the paper and just talk about that for another hour, but we won't. Know yourself and seek self-improvement. Listen, when I say know yourself, I can ask you this, and this will sum it up. On your worst day, I mean, ain't nothing going right. You done missed the trash people. You know, you put the trash can out and you done missed them. Or you put the trash can out the night before, some dogs came and got in your trash. You didn't see it until you got dressed for work and you went outside. Now you got to go back in and change. You got to get the trash up, because if you don't, the neighbor's going to call you to tell, oh, that don't happen to y'all. Okay, I'm sorry. On your worst day, would you follow you? On your worst day, when you just mad for no reason. How many of us have been mad for no reason and knew we didn't have a reason to be mad? And that's normally the day you get to work, and as soon as you get there, somebody needs you right away, right? You mad, you don't know why, you don't like your car, your phone ain't acting right, you don't like your outfit, you thinking about something that happened to you way back in high school. You didn't get that person back, right? So you're thinking about that. And exactly. And then all of a sudden you get to work and somebody needs you. On that day, would you follow you? You have to ask yourself that, because I am here to tell you, I'm not a prophet, but I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have bad days. Okay? You're going to have bad days. My married folks in here, it ain't just marriage. It's the single folks too. Okay, because marriage is beautiful. I can tell you that right now, but there are moments. Okay, you driving in the car and you sitting there, you on your way to church, and you're saying that to nobody, and then you pull up and you park, and one of the saints walk up to you like, oh, hi, how you doing? Everybody, all of a sudden you're full of conversation now. You didn't say nothing all the way to work, right? That's fake. That's phony. We can't do that. On your worst day, would you follow you? Know your ministry, whatever ministry you're going to get involved in, know your ministry team and look out for their well-being. Know your ministry team and look out for their well-being. What does that mean? If something goes wrong in that ministry team and you're responsible for it, guess whose fault it is? It's yours. I would have so much more respect for the leader that walks in and says, hey, my bad, I messed this up. I missed this. It won't happen again. As opposed to the leader that walks in and said, man, I told Corey, man, it was the skinny jeans and he couldn't get over there and do what he needed to do, right? Don't bring somebody else into it. You're responsible for it. Know your team. And know your team means know what they're capable of and don't give them more than they can do. Okay? And people will say, well, I'm keeping them in the box. No, you're keeping them safe. You're taking care of them, because if you know that they can't do it, then as a leader, you're supposed to be training them so that they can do it. So eventually you won't have to shelter them from that because you're educating them. Last leadership principle, set the example. Set the example. Don't tell people that they have to be at a place by a particular time and you not be there. Do not tell people that stuff has to be done in a particular way, but when it's your turn to do it, you don't do it that way. Okay, because they're going to remember that more than anything else. There's some leadership traits that I'm going to give you. I borrowed these from the Marine Corps. First one is bearing, B-E-A-R-I-N-G. Courage, decisiveness, and dependability. The next column from top to bottom, endurance, enthusiasm, initiative, integrity, judgment, and justice. Say them again: endurance, enthusiasm, initiative, integrity, justice, and judgment. And then the last column, top to bottom, knowledge, loyalty, tact, and unselfishness. We'll break those down as we progress. We're going to take about a 10-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about what's required. So I have 10 o'clock right now. So at 10:10, if we can all just gather back around here, and we can pick up this next session. All right. Thank you. All right. All right. We can get started again. Thank y'all so much. All right. We start in the second part. What's required?
All right, man, listen. I'm Gary, you're Julius. Let's get some particulars and just get this over with, all right?
Particulars.
Yeah.
No matter what I tell you, you ain't gonna never know nothing about
Hey,
me.
man, listen, I ain't running any more of these 3 days, okay?
Well, what I got to say you really don't want to hear, because honesty ain't too high up on your people priority list, right?
Honesty? You want honesty? All right, honestly, I think you're nothing. Nothing but a pure waste of God-given talent. You don't listen to nobody, man. Not even Doc or Boone. Shiver push on the line every time, man. You blow right past them. Push them, pull them, do something. You can't run over everybody in this league. And every time you do, you leave one of your teammates hanging out to dry. Me in particular.
Why should I give a hoot about you? Huh? Or anybody else out there? You want to talk about a waste? You the captain, right?
Right.
Captain's supposed to be the leader, right?
Right.
You got a job?
I have a
You
job.
been doing your job?
I've been doing my job.
Then why don't you tell your white buddies to block for Rev better? Because they have not blocked for him worth a plug nickel, and you know it. Nobody plays, yourself included. I'm supposed to wear myself out for the team? What team? No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look out for myself, and I'm going to get mine.
Say, man, that's the worst attitude I ever heard.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
It happens just like it happens on the football field. It happens inside the church, right? But first of all, I don't know if y'all know, and I don't know if Ed shared with y'all, but I was in this movie. All right, man. I hate when I have to, prove points. The disrespect is starting to grow. But okay, all right. Let's just go ahead and prove my point. That's me. Yeah, not him. Oh, all right. Him. On the right-hand side, number 96 walking up. That's me. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of far away from the camera, so you can't really see. Yep. Oh, you know what? I'm not gonna rock with y'all. That's all right. That's cool. I want to believe my credibilities. I had to help, with a lot of things in the movie, and let me just let this go. What did you see in the video? What did you see? What's happening behind the scenes there? Anybody? I'll help you get started. So the two best players on this team that has been made to segregate, had to come together and join one another, are now going at it. Segregation, schools, they desegregated and the schools had to join. White school joins the black school. Black coach is the one that's picked. What else did you see happen in the clip? Think about the conversation that they had. Black teammates that are racist towards the white, yes. Okay, all right. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
One person was all about himself and the other person was talking about me.
Okay, what else? They both blame the other. No one owned it, right? Nobody's listening. Beautiful. Yeah, please. Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay. No trust. I love this movie and everybody's right. Okay, so I'm going to point something out to you. Julius didn't recognize until this moment that Gary respected him. You look at his face because his compliment starts out as an insult. He says, I think you're nothing but a waste of God-given talent. When the person that you have been trained since childhood to believe is always against you, gives you probably one of the greatest compliments that you've ever received, how do you take that? Because in essence, these are two leaders that both have separate goals. Remember, Gary, if you remember it, but in the movie it tells Gary Bertier is already the All-American. He introduces himself to the coach as the only All-American you got on this team. And if you want us to play for you, then you need to do such and such. They sized each other up. And then it got to the point where Bertier, who was smart enough to realize, I got to do something to bring everybody together. Kind of like most leaders in church realize, I got to do something to bring everybody together. But his approach was wrong. Similar to what happens in church. I want to help you, but instead of me helping you with how to be better, I laud you with how bad you are. I tell you where you fall short instead of telling you where you could be or helping you see where you can go, right? Leaders are so important, not just in church, but we're talking about a church environment. Leaders are so important. Pastors actually need them. When you have, like in this situation, we'll go back to the movie clip, you have your two best players, both of two different ethnicities, both have a following. Remember, when the black players were in Coach Boone's first meeting in the movie, the black players are in the gym talking about the white players not coming. They're saying the white players won't play for the black coach. And then as a united front, the white coach brings in the white players, disrupts the meeting. Both sides were in a solidary position against the other side. And now they've decided they have to go to camp. So don't want you to fool yourself into thinking that this only happens on the field or this only happens in the job. See, that sizing up, that competition, that admiration that was given, that happens in here as well. We know the strong leaders in our churches. For the most part, we admire them and we respect them. But there are some of us who look at them like they're in our way. I'm never going to get to where I want to be because this person's always going to be here. And so it becomes I must show them that I can, and that's reckless. Teamwork is more important than individual success. There is no I in team. As a matter of fact, we're going to demonstrate. Okay, so eggs were handed out. Who has an egg? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I have 4 eggs left. All right, let me use those later. Okay, make an omelet. Let's make an omelet. Bryce, can you do me a favor? Can you take your egg and crack it, put it in the bowl on the left. This left as you look at it. You don't have to be gentle with the egg. I'll just crack it. Trash can. Ma'am, can you bring your egg up and put your egg in the bowl on the right? I didn't say crack it. Put it in there. So you always got to do your own thing. You just, yeah. Ma'am, can you bring your egg up and crack it? Put it in the bowl on the left. Ma'am, can you bring your egg up and place it in the bowl on the right? Can you bring your egg up and crack it? Can you bring your egg up and place it? You might need a rag. Here's a rag. Corey, can you bring your egg up and crack it? Thank you. Who's left? Did we do this? Ma'am, can you bring your egg up and place it? Sir, you bring your egg up and crack it? Place it. Crack it. Thank you, sir. See that? See that? Somebody. Place, crack, place. Now, who came up first with the egg? Is this you, Bryce? Okay. So we're making an omelet. You came up and brought the first egg. Come on up. Which egg is yours?
Yeah, I'm right there.
You sure?
Yeah.
How you sure?
It's dope, man.
No, I need you to be 100% certain that that's your egg.
That's my egg right
Right there. Is that your egg?
there. Right there.
Hey, you just put your finger right in the middle of the egg.
We bonded a long time ago.
You
I
and
can
that
feel
egg.
that that's my egg.
Okay. Okay.
Like kid, you know.
So that's, you know that for a fact. That's
100%.
they all look the same, but that's yours.
They don't look the same, you know.
They don't-
They look the same to you.
They look the same to you. Okay. Okay. Who was the first one to bring an egg to this bowl? Come on up. Where's your egg? You might be in trouble. So all of these eggs look the same, but you know that's yours, is what you say.
Yeah, because that's the ones in the middle.
Do me a favor, take it out of the middle. Now take another one out. Now take another one out. Take another one out. Now put them all back. Now lie on Zoom and tell me which one is yours.
I'm not gonna lie on you.
Okay.
I don't know which one is.
Okay,
mine.
okay. Okay. No, you're really helping. See, because there is nothing worse than a leader that will take credit for something they did not do. Bryce don't know where his egg is. But he would be willing to go to court to defend that egg position. There's nothing wrong. Right? So, and then, oh, can you hold this for me?
Mhm.
Okay. This what I do. You know what I mean? Where's your egg?
All of it.
Now you're right. Now you're right, because that's teamwork. Making an omelet, you can't make an omelet with one egg, right? Where are the last three people that came up? I'm sorry. Where are the last three people? You, three in the back. You came up last. What is the difference? Nope, I'll get back to you. What is the difference between these eggs that work together as a team to create the omelet and these eggs that are still in their shell? Potential hadn't been revealed yet because they didn't want to conform to what the senior leader was asking for. The senior leader is asking everybody to work together as a team, but these people feel like they work together independently. So they ain't gonna open up and let you see what's inside. They're not gonna share their talent with you because knowledge is power. As a matter of fact, these three, the last three folks, I told y'all they were problems when they came in. They really took their eggs and didn't even want to participate. They took their toys and went home. Now, I don't want to conform to exactly what the pastor wants from me. I don't want to participate because nobody asked me my opinion. And when I did give it anyway, they didn't take it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mess of everything that they're making. I'm going to crack myself open and spread my negativity on these people who refused to share their talents and their giftings with the church. Now this bowl won't even mix the same. I can't really mix it. But what's happening to the eggs? All of the mess and the nastiness that's from these people that don't want to participate or conform, participate or conform, is now on top of some innocent people that really just needed to know what was going on. So eventually what will happen is I'm going to run from this because I start to feel some negativity going on. And I feel like that they're dissing my pastor or they're working against the team. But I take my still protected self and I jump in a pool that I don't really fit into because I don't know what's going on because I didn't conform in the beginning. Sound familiar at all? Most of the time, it's merely innocence. The majority of people do not intend to be problems. That's why it's important for all of us to know our people and know what the makeup is of each person, right? That table back there, under one of those chairs, there's a note. Can somebody find it? Glorious. Leaders must be close enough to relate to others, but far enough ahead to motivate them. We have to give people, as leaders, we have to give people something to reach for, right? Doesn't mean that we have to set the bar so high that they cannot achieve it. That's not teaching, that's not training, that's more so hazing. And that's not what we're into. All right? So in order for a church to come together and stay together, stay connected, the leaders must come together and work at staying together. Because as you saw in the video, there is division everywhere amongst leaders. I missed the part of your fill in. You should fill in, why do pastors need leaders? Because the more the church grows, the further away the pastors are from the ground floor. A lot of pastors, when they start out, aspire to have huge churches. I want all these people, and I want to really serve God, and we're going to have a community impact. They really don't know what they're asking for. You can only be at one place at one time. And unfortunately for your leaders, most of the time when people go to the hospital or people are not doing well, or most of the time when they want to visit from the pastor. So when you all walk in, you're already walking in at a disadvantage, right? Doesn't have to stay that way, because what happened, there are things and there are ways for us to go about this process to help acclimate the people to the leaders. Because the more they know about you, the more they will want to be around you. I can tell you that my brother here had a huge following in the men's ministry when he was in the church altogether, but also in the men's ministry. People just wanted to be around him. And that was because he knew them. He got to know them at the level that they were. That's important. It's more than just saying hi to people when they walk through the door. It's more than just praying for people when they walk in. You have to want to get to know them where they are. Yeah, you probably are alone. Leaders can be the greatest influencers of change or resistance to change. See, you left her back. You left her out there. Look, I can't be held accountable when I don't read what's highlighted in yellow on here. This is, I mean, I highlighted it to read it, but I forgot. Actually, there you did. Rebecca, thank you so much. That's why I love Rebecca. All right. All right. Notice I said work together because disagreements are inevitable. Everybody needs to understand that. I might not like the way you do something. I might not agree. Yeah, most of the time. I might not agree. There might be an issue with it. What matters is the way it's handled. Okay. What matters is the way it's handled. What we're doing right now, in case everybody is trying to figure it out, we're building a foundation. We're building a house. Actually, that's very close to home. We're building a house from the bottom up. Okay, and you got to start with the foundation. That's what we're talking about, right? I disagree with the pastor. You're not going to agree with everything your pastor does. You're not going to agree with everything your leaders do. You're not going to agree with everything the person sitting to your right or your left does. What matters is how it's handled. It should never be a public dispute. Like this. If you're a leader and there's a leadership meeting and there's a proposal brought forward and they put it out for a vote and you voted against, but there was more that voted for, you lost. It's really, it would be different if they just came and said, this is what we can ready to do. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what nobody wants to say. Make it happen. And then they walk off. They brought it to everybody, right? They brought it to the church. They asked you to vote as leaders. 15 voted for yay, 15 voted for nay. I'm sorry, 14 voted for nay. One person was indifferent. So the yays have it. Now, what happens in that scenario, though, where 15 yays and 15 nays? Now there's a potential for a problem because now the pastor has to make the final call. And so the yays might be happy, but the nays might not feel like they got dismissed. They'd be like those eggs over here that just wanted to jump in. It happens, but there's a way to even go about that in private, behind closed doors where nobody can hear. You don't just show out on a platform in front of everybody, letting people know how you feel. You keep them to yourselves. Why? Because you are a leader. And leaders call their pastor, talk to their pastors, they sit down with them and they politely discuss. Didn't necessarily like that. I just wanted you to know, but I'm fine. Let's move forward. Mature sort of thing. Yes, sir. Yes.
If it's somebody that I don't know,
That's 100% accurate. And I'll tell you right now, the onus of responsibility on that is the senior leader's fault. That is the senior leader. You can try to get to know him or her all you want, but most of the time they're not forthcoming with information like that. For whatever reason, and in my experiences and probably a lot of yours, leaders have a tendency to try to hide certain things. And I understand it. I really do, because the truth of the matter is when people find out certain things about you, they decide whether or not you're really godly or not. And that's unfair because you deal with some of the same flaws that they might deal with. So you cannot be what you're professing to be. That's so unfair, right? That is so unfair. So you are right that it takes getting to know somebody and understanding where they come from. Because in the churches before, people will say, well, you know my heart. Come on, man. I don't barely know you. You're talking about, I know your heart. Right? You know my heart, man. You know, I had great intentions by it. Nah, bro, you better come correct on that. You know, some people have intentions of doing things, believe it or not. I've been taught to always assume noble intent. Assume noble intent. Been taught probably, I think I learned it last week, right? Assume noble intent. Assume noble intent. But I will share a time where I did not assume noble intent and it almost cost somebody. We were on a missions trip to Ghana. And this is the first time I'd ever gone. And if you've never gone, please get a ticket and go over there. Tell them you know me, they take care of you and all this stuff. But one of the gentlemen on the trip kept talking about another gentleman that wasn't there, right? 2 pastors, 1 minister, and 2 regular guys. I like to call myself a regular guy. You know, we were walking around. But every opportunity that this person had, he talked about the individual that wasn't there in a negative manner, almost like he was trying to paint a picture for everybody to see this person in, because we didn't see the person in that picture. And it just so happened, unfortunately for him and for me, that the person was my brother, very close friend of mine, right? And I'm getting madder every day. We over there for 10 days. I'm supposed to be doing the work of the Lord, but every now and then again, it was bad. Then in Ghana, there's a lot of places to leave a body. I mean, I shouldn't say. Yeah. No, don't write that down. But so you can imagine you have your brother, your friend is not there to defend himself underneath all of this. So about the 3rd or 4th day, you know, you just get to the point where if he says one more thing, but he didn't say one more thing. But I think I was so mad about what had happened that all I was looking for was like just a look, you know, just give me a reason. But this is what he did. I got to give you a scenario. We get up in the morning starving. And, you know, we were trying to find food to eat. And if you've never been there, if you go, trust me, you'll learn what I'm saying. But we went out the night before and we bought sandwiches for like 4 days from this spot. We found this restaurant. We come back in the morning. We're getting ready to eat our breakfast, meet up with the pastors and them, and get ready to find out what the routine is for the next day, for that day. I bring my food with me because there were no microwaves and I was staying in a different place than they were. We walk over, we're sitting down, we're talking to this gentleman. Now remember, teamwork is important, right? You're looking out for the entire team. We are all here together. We are all flew on the same plane. We're all in the same on the same boat. I sit down in front of him, let him know what we're getting ready to do because we're being respectful. Go warm my food up. I come back. And now our pastor is up and he walks in. I have this food, it's heated up, I'm ready to eat. And he looks at me and says, hey, Brother Tony, we decided we were gonna fast today. I was just sitting in that room with the guy for 30 minutes with food on my lap. He never said anything to me about fasting. Now I'm hungry. Yeah, I have gone to the great lengths because there were no microwaves and found a way to heat up my food. And I'm smelling it all the way back. I'm getting ready to eat this. And my pastor says we decided we were going to fast today. But go ahead and eat your food. Well, I can't eat now, right? At least not in front of them. So I can't. But I got an attitude. And I consider myself to be one of the nicest people in the world. I do. People, my wife will vouch for me on this, but you know how you look at people, even though you're a Christian, when they messed up? You know that Training Day look in Denzel? Uh-huh. You remember that, right? Right? I'm just staring him down because I just sat down in front of him. We had a 30-minute discussion. I told him what I was getting ready to do. He told me nothing about the fast. Now, some of y'all might not think that's a reason to be upset, but based on everything else that had happened on the first 4 days, I'm ready to body this dude. But I gotta wait because I don't want the witnesses. We get to the church, and this is the first moment that I had to be able to talk to him alone. We get outside, and all 3 of those people in that table will tell you, if I got a problem with you, we're going to talk about it because I don't want to hold it. I don't want it to become a knot. I don't want it to make me sick. And I don't want to stay mad at you, right? I want to get it over with. We got outside, pulled him to the side. I said, let me holler at you for a minute, man. No Christian. Hey, brother, can I talk to you? No, let me holler at you for a minute, man. Let me talk to you. We get outside. I said, I'm trying to understand this. Not only have you been doing this for the last couple of days, but today I sat in front of you with food, ready to eat. And then the pastor gets up and tells me that we decided to fast. We, I'm not stupid, means you were in on it. Why didn't you tell me? Y'all ain't ready for this. This is the crescendo of the story. He said that God revealed that to him. He was the one that came up with it for just him and the pastor. See, I said the same thing. I saw the look. I saw the look on your face, right? We all flew to Ghana. We are a team. We're all on the same spiritual journey. Can you tell me the significance of 2 people fasting out of the 5? So we just supposed to be on our own journey while the other 2 get spiritually inclined to do other things to hear from God? You follow where I'm going though? Is there any teamwork in that? None. If it's going to be a we fast, then we should have been told the night before. And if you don't tell us the night before, surely the indication that I'm sitting there with a burger in a bag tells you I'm getting ready to eat. It was so bad, my pastor he was getting ready to speak, but he had to put me to the side and said, I need you to let this go. All right, I'm gonna let it go for now. We're gonna finish this conversation. Now, don't hold me to that. That was, how long ago was that? That was 2011. I got saved right after that. So things got a whole lot better for me. I let it go. But do you see the significance of working as an individual as opposed to working for? There is no, I'm telling you right now, I know God does things in his way, but I don't think God separates teams like that. I just want you to fast, Rebecca. Everybody else at your table, y'all eat up. Because I'm only going to speak to you. Yes, ma'am. Beautiful. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. And it goes even further. So Corey hit it, and that Corey laid it out for me. And that's why I told the story. You have to know who they are as a person, right? What are their tendencies? Is this the first time? Is this unique? Did they just have that lapse in judgment? But I'll also say this, the moment the pastor spoke and said we, see, that lets me know that it's we, not just you and him. Like Pastor Pearl says, if you're going to fast. I mean, we're not supposed to walk around bragging about it. It's supposed to be a private moment. But now if you say we are going to fast, well, now you're talking collectively. So that means, okay, doesn't matter that I found out late and I could have ate my food. They would have understood it. But it was one of those things where I was like, no, I'm not going to do something different than everybody else does. But what I allowed to happen was my flesh to be riled up because of the first 3 days. You see what I'm saying? It carried on. And that was like the last straw. So, and I'm not even ashamed to tell you, because I had to correct myself and had to repent. For the next 5 days, I didn't even speak to the guy. Didn't even speak to him on the flight back. Right? You know, it was just one of those days where it was in me. And I've said before, there used to be a point in time when I get to that point, we got to talk. Now, I mean, physically, I mean, I ain't into all that no more. Listen, let's just talk like men. Let's talk like adults. Let's see if we can figure this out. If we can't figure it out, then we move forward. Okay. All right. So what is required of you? You have to decide, am I willing to be a part of the team? You have to accept, to know and to play your part. You have to commit, but you commit to God, to the vision, to the goals and the mission of the church. Say that again. You commit to God, commit to the vision, the goals and missions of the church. You commit to God first, God and God alone. And then if you're going to be a leader in a church, you commit to those visions, goals, and missions. Corey read my notes. You said, get to know your teammates. Connect, get to know your teammates. And then you have to embrace the team mentality. The team is important because when you go to work in the community, they won't say, well, the Barnetts were here. They won't say that the Cantys were here. They will say the place was here. And if the place is not organized, if the place is disheveled, if the place is fighting within itself, that's what they're going to remember. They're going to take your food. They're going to take your clothing. They're going to take any money you give them. They're going to take all the donations, but they're going to walk away and they're going to talk about the place being the most unorganized place to be. So you have to remember that. You are always on display, especially when you do as much community work as we would like to do. We need to be involved in our communities. That's the way it works, right? We talked about the eggs and not wanting to conform, not wanting to be a part of, and wanting to go home and then trying to jump in and make a mess. Leaders can either increase or decrease the probability of leaders can either increase or decrease the probability of a church's level of success. We need not put all of that on God. God will always provide us the tools. God will always provide us whatever we need, the resources. He'll provide us the people. It's how you manage what's given. We're supposed to be good stewards of what God gives us. That includes the people that are there. Take care of your people. Selfish leaders are not able to step outside of their normal routine for long. They can do it for a while, but not for long. They'll start to front and then they get exposed. Dropping down to the next fill-in. Some leaders need to be out front. Some leaders want to be in the back. Some leaders don't care. And some leaders are waiting on their turn. All of that can be hurtful or dangerous. Needing to be out front is a dangerous thing. Wanting to be in the back, you can be withholding your gifts from people that really need them. Don't care, that's always negative. You have to care about something. And waiting your turn, how are you waiting your turn? Are you studying? Are you preparing? Or are you just sitting there waiting to be called? The church is the only place that people can get up and operate and do things with a calling. Other places require education, studying, licenses, right? Right? You get a calling and then all of a sudden I'm ready. There's so many different phases. There's, I heard one pastor put it like this. He said, there's a call, there's a commitment, and then there's a commission. And the great example of that is David. As a child, he was called to be king, right? Committed to the call by preparing to be king. And then eventually he was commissioned as the king. Doesn't happen overnight. So the senior leader has additional responsibilities. Sometimes they need to be a referee. Sometimes they need to be a coach. Sometimes they need to be a leader, a father, a mother. They need to do the things that they need to do in order to keep the team afloat. All right, are there any questions? Because we got one more piece. We need to take a break? No, don't need, I don't, okay. All right. How about we take 2 minutes? Because I might want to. Yeah, okay. Breathe.
I put my jacket on 1,000 times. I took it off 1,000 times. Okay? This is stupid. I'm done. They can beat me up if they want to. And you know why you only have one student? Because you don't know Kung Fu.
Xiaozhui,
What?
come here. Check it on.
Miss Han, I already...
Check it on. Check it on.
I don't have a jacket.
Check it on. Be strong. Check it on. Firm. Check it off. Remember, always strong. Check it off. Strong. Left foot back. Right feet back. Left feet back. Pick up your jacket.
Ooh, Miss...
Focus.
Okay.
Always concentrate. Left back. Right foot back. Pick up your jacket. Stay. Pick up your jacket. Be strong. Hang it up. Hang it up. Hang up. And attitude. Strike. Hang up and attitude. Harder. Harder. Good. But no face. Check it out. Kung Fu lives in everything we do, Xiaozhui. It lives in how we put on the jacket, how we take off the jacket. It lives in how we treat people. Everything is Kung Fu.
Okay, we're into our last piece. Leadership is in everything that you do. It's how you are inside the church. It's how you are outside of the church. It's what you do when no one's watching. And most importantly is how you treat people. In the video, you see a young man who had asked to be taught karate, kung fu. He was getting beat up. He was going through a lot of stuff. Just moved from, I think, LA to China or something like that, wherever the movie's based. And he ran into some thugs that had just been beating him senseless. And so this doesn't necessarily look the part, is volunteering to help him. The problem is that the guy is not telling him what he's doing to train him. And so he's just been hazed and drug along the long way, and he's not learning anything. And so that happens a lot when pastors are trying to prepare us for different stages of where God's calling them to be. Find it amazing that those individuals, just like Jackie Chan in this movie, that can teach you something without you knowing what you're learning. And you don't learn it until you just get to the point where you get frustrated and then it's proven to you. You notice in the movie when he told him to focus, right? Because he couldn't believe what he did. He didn't know he had learned all that stuff. The guy, Jackie Chan, used a jacket to teach him how to defend himself from punches, right? He used sweeping up, hang something up. He used hanging the jacket up to show him how to defend a high kick, right? I mean, what are you able to do as a leader, and how are you able to prepare someone to take a leadership position without necessarily telling them everything that's going to come their way? They cannot be prepared for everything, right? There are things that happen to leaders that they're just not ready for. You know what I mean? I mean, like, are you prepared for everything that's going to happen the moment somebody walks up to you and asks for prayer? What if you walk up to someone and say, how can I pray for you? And they say, I just killed a person last night. What's required now? I can tell you right now, I don't just stop at prayer. You see what I'm saying? This is serious, right? How can I pray for you, brother? I just robbed this bank 2 days ago and I feel real bad about it. You feel real bad about it? Right? But these are serious scenarios. We have to be prepared, right? Yeah. I didn't hear nothing. All right. Let's do that. Would you want everything up front, or are you a person that has to wait and see? Believe it or not, the wait and see people exist. Actually, even though you want it up front, you're still a wait and see type of person. Because you've been following God for the longest time, and God knows what's about to happen. But if he told you, it would never happen. He knows the end from the beginning, and he does not reveal it all to you. Because if he did, you would probably be like me and try to avoid it at all costs. I'm running from that. They ain't gonna happen to me. Right? In this movie, the other beautiful thing about it is Jackie Chan does not look the part. He does not look like a kung fu master. He looks like a janitor because he was a janitor. What's the hidden story there? People are going to walk through your doors and you ain't going to know anything about their background. Do not judge people. Do not put people in categories because you think they need to be taught more than they're actually learning. Had an experience once where one of the elders of the church that I attended sat me down, was going to tell me all about myself and this, that, and the other. And needless to say, she was enlightened because she thought because I have this demeanor and I joke and I play a lot that I don't take anything seriously. We became very close after that, after we had that conversation. How would you prefer to be trained? It really doesn't matter. Don't answer. Would you prefer to be trained? Because if you prefer to be trained, then that's where commitment comes in. Right? It's in your handouts. This is where when your senior leader doesn't look the part, does that affect your mentality? It shouldn't, but it does. If people don't look the way you think they should look, think of Jesus. He did not come with pomp and circumstance. He did not look like a king. Therefore, they did not believe that he was the Messiah. This is where commitment comes in. This is where acceptance comes in. This is where you have to connect with the leader. This is where you have to embrace what you see. And this is where you decide if this is really for you or not. Do I really want to be a part of this church with these pastors looking the way they do? They're not flashy enough. Or they're too flashy. Or they wear suits all the time. And I ain't never seen him wear a suit. Or his socks don't match his outfit. Or, this, that, and the other. There are people that think like that. It's representation. Okay. The senior must commit to be able to invest and train you. Say that again. The senior leader must be able to invest and train you. If they cannot, then if they can't do either of those, I'm sorry, let me say this the right way. If they can't do both of those, there's no need for you to be under their teaching and guidance. The senior leader must be able to invest and train in you, to train you, invest in you and train. And if they can't do both of those, you need not be with them. Leadership is a hard thing alone by itself. When you're not being trained and taught the right ways to do it, it becomes worse. So you need mentors. Okay? The senior leader must find a way to connect with you. See, they are the visionary. And you shouldn't be getting trained if God hadn't told them to place you in leadership in the first place. Right? It's not about not wasting time on you. It's just that they might be exposing you to something that you're not ready for. Right? Because we've all been there. You get a little taste of something like, it's something as dangerous, as simple as this microphone can be very dangerous to some people. Get up in front, they get a taste of that and they get a few reactions and then they take off running and it was premature. It was before the time. This is where the senior leader must embrace everything about you. Why is that? They have to embrace everything about you because they're going to work with every part of you. They have to be able to embrace you. Now we're human and we know that there are certain people that when we come around them, we don't necessarily want to hang around them forever. But the bottom line is if you're a senior leader, you owe. You owe. There's a note under a chair at this table. Can somebody help me find it? Don't try to change people. Thank you, sir. Don't try to change people. You teach, let God do the changing. Don't try to change people. You teach, let God do the changing. All of us at one point in time, when we walked through the doors of a church, were a mess. And some of us, if I had to talk about myself, we still a mess. God has never shunned us. I cannot remember a time that God has said to me, boy, you worthless. So since God doesn't say that to me, you don't have the right to say that to me. And if you do, I'll just find another place to eat. I'll go somewhere else. This is where the senior leader has to decide if you're ready for those next steps. Senior leaders must exercise patience in every interaction. There is always a need for training. I don't want anybody to think that they've achieved anything. There must be training that takes place. Even if it's a training session that's being held that you've attended before, go again. When I retired from the military, they have what's called the retirement seminar. I went 4 times. I wanted to make sure I was getting everything that they owed me. Even if they didn't owe it to me, I wanted it. I want whatever's coming my way. Right? But the 4 times that I went, every time I learned something new. Here's something. The senior leader must inspect what they expect. What do I mean by that? I don't send you somewhere without knowing that you are fully prepared to do what you need to do. I say, Rebecca Melton, I can't be somewhere at this particular point. Can you go for me? Rebecca says, hey, okay, what's expected of me here? What are they looking for? Don't ever accept that. Oh, it ain't no big deal. You just go do blah, blah. Nope. What am I supposed to do? Who is the point of contact? Who am I supposed to look for when I get there? Who is going to be looking for me? In other words, who's going to be looking for you that don't really know that I'm coming to take your place? Have you called them to tell them I'm coming for you? Right? Senior leaders owe you that. We're not going to send you into something blind. If we don't do that for you, it is a disservice. Senior leaders owe it to his or her leaders to be organized because they expect them to be organized. The senior leader expects their leaders to be prepared. Expectations must be understood through communication. I need you to listen to this closely. Expectations must be understood through communication. Don't wait for anyone to get a revelation. Expectations must be understood through communication. Don't wait for anyone to get a revelation. It'd be better to give them a designation. Leaders will expect their leaders to look decent and presentable. Not necessarily a clothing requirement, but you don't want to go somewhere misrepresenting yourself. You have to understand that whatever you put on and you walk out of the house, it ain't about representing the place. It ain't about representing Pastor Ed or Pastor Pearl. It's about representing you. And when you walk into some place, you want to be presentable. Jeans, and that's all good. All right, I'm not saying don't wear jeans, but don't walk out looking like you're homeless when you're not. If you are homeless, then that's understood and you need some help. That's what we're here for. That's exactly what the church is here for. But I always like to dress, depending on where I'm going, if I'm speaking, if I'm doing anything, I dress to what's there. If people are going to be wearing suits, I throw a suit on, right? Because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm trying to do anything more or less than them. If people are not wearing suits, I don't wear suits. I'm not worried about it. I stopped wearing suits to church about 4 or 5 years ago. It became fun after a while. You had to tie the tie, and you had to match it with the handkerchief. The suits got complicated. When we started wearing jeans, I was like, yes, and sneakers. All right. Senior leaders must have the strength to have difficult conversations with their leaders. Must have the strength. It is a necessity. These conversations build character. These conversations build trust. These conversations manage expectations. If a leader's performance is not up to par, the senior leader is obligated to talk to them about it. Obligated to talk to them about it. And I think one of the last two pieces is this. Take some time off. Leaders and senior leaders, take time off. I have a friend of mine, we work together, and it was one of the most novel concepts I've ever heard. And I share it with as many people that want to hear it. He's an elder at one of his churches. He's an elder at a church, and their senior pastor has a thing where you work for 2 years and you get a year off. I know, that's what I said. I was like, wow, how do they work that? It's a rotation, right? That year that you're off, no meetings, unless you just want to come, right? It's you and your family. You spend time with your family. 2 years on, 1 year off. Now, of course, you got to have enough people to do it. But if you do have enough people to do it, and I'd rather have somebody that's been out chilling and refreshed and ready to come back to work as opposed to somebody that just don't want to do nothing because they're tired of hearing other people complain. Leaders, need to make people rest. Make people rest. Hey, you know what? Just chill. We got this. And leaders, senior leaders need to rest. They need to rest. It's okay to show us that you can do the work, but I'm telling you right now, we got it, man. Go ahead. Y'all chill out. We're going to take care of this. Another issue is the inspecting of the expectation needs to be relayed through communication and through example. Okay? I cannot look at something that you did that I did not give you the detailed instructions on and say it's not done right. I have to look at something you did, might not be to my liking, but I got to say, you know what? I appreciate it. Thank you for that. And I have to own the fact that I did not necessarily show you what I wanted. I need to tell you that. I need to be truthful and honest. I don't need to say it, like a sandwich. That was a decent job. It ain't right. It's all right. I'm gonna get back to you. No. All right, thank you for everything, man. I appreciate that. And then the next time there's time to set that up, we just set it up together so you can see me do it. Right? That's what should have been done in the first place anyway. You lead by example. The last piece of this is the most complicated piece, and that is new people, new personnel. When leaders introduce new people to the church or the organization, that needs to be delivered properly. Okay? If you've been in a church where all of a sudden somebody new just shows up and now all of a sudden they're taking over something and you have no idea who they are, that could cause problems. Especially if you've been in leadership for a while and you don't know the person. Not that you have to know everything. That's not what I'm saying, but me and Rebecca have been working together for 10 years in the ministry, and all of a sudden Mark comes in and says, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we're looking at each other like, what building are you looking for? I don't know anything about you, right? It's not being protective. It's not protecting my spot or anything like that. Somebody should have told us that somebody new had taken over the ministry. You see what I'm trying to say? Senior leaders owe it to each other to share that sort of thing. Can the three of you go over there, please, by those chairs? Pastor Ed, and y'all still sitting here. Can you go over to the Pastor Pearl? I got the E and the, yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go. How many chairs I got? All right, you two take the inside chairs. Right, y'all stand in front of the outside chairs. How many chairs I got left? 4? 4? 1, 2, 3. Ma'am, you want to go? Oh, we're gonna leave y'all out. This is it. We're gonna end this with this. Oh, people can see this too? All right, so what we have is a church and all the leadership positions are filled, right? And really, we ain't got no more room for no more leaders because we got all the boards and everything is all taken care of. And then all of a sudden, everybody starts going in musical chairs. It's musical chairs. Y'all seen this before? All right, don't hurt nobody. It's enough chairs over here. Go ahead and sit down. There you go. It's always one leader that want to take their time to get to, they want to get to where they want to go. But see, everybody's still happy, right? Everybody's got a chair. Everybody's good. There are no problems. And you still have your position. You still have your position. Ma'am, you still have yours. Pastor Earl and Pastor Pearl and Pastor Ed are still in good standing. Sir, can you come up here? Now we got a new leader that didn't nobody know about. All right, y'all, it's time to get up.
Once your moment is past, he's with me. This is my done. He's only a
Whoa, that was good. So now we have a seasoned leader that's been here a long time. And he ain't got a seat no more. But notice that, and I'm just going to say this just for example, right? The new guy is not only does he have a seat, who is he sitting in front of? He's sitting right by the pastor. This dude done come in and took your seat. I'm sorry, I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that somebody in the group kept trying to protect their spots before the music even stopped. Right? Because you know something, he's right. You know something just happened. You weren't prepared for it. So what you're trying to do is make sure that you're not the one that's left out. And whose fault is this? Pastor Earl. Matter of fact, Pastor Earl and Pastor Earl, can y'all look under y'all chairs? Because y'all have notes. Yeah, you got to read them. He can't find here.
Train people well enough so that they can lead, treat them well enough so they don't want to.
Go ahead, man. If I don't say anything else and you didn't get anything else, and I got 11 minutes and I'm gonna use 2 of them. Senior leaders owe the leaders around them everything they have. And if they're not ready to make that commitment, then they do not put leaders in position. Everything they have means to do just what his piece of paper said. I'm training you so that you are prepared to go. But I'm treating you so well that you really got to think about, do I want to leave? Because the grass is not always greener on the other side. And then read yours again, ma'am. Because as the pastors, you know where you are and you know where you need to be. And you also understand that everybody that's coming to you, more than likely, I'm sorry, not everybody, the majority of the people that are coming to you were sent to you. People say it all the time. This is a place that God called me to be. This is where God told me to come join. So you got to take them at their word. Okay, if God told you to be here. Now you'll find out eventually. You'll find out if that's true, because you know the first thing happens and they leave. But the senior leaders owe the leaders that, which means that the leaders owe everybody else the same. I hope we had fun today. I really did. I enjoyed myself. I like Charlotte. I like Man Hill. I love, y'all ain't got to sit over there. Y'all get what do I need to do? Just making, but what we did today was kind of just lay a foundation of expectations. Is it necessary? I believe it is necessary. We got about exactly 9 minutes, and I don't want to take us up to that point, but I will ask if anybody has any questions or comments or anything like that. Or if you need to talk, we can talk offline, but thank you so much for your time today and your hospitality. You guys are awesome. I love being here. We love being here. Thank you for hosting my wife and I. They gave my wife a basket at the hotel. Yeah, it wasn't nothing in it I wanted, but they got it. Yeah, they did it for her. So no, they did. They got popcorn for me, which is my favorite bit. But yeah, just, I love you guys so much. And I will, if you guys are interested in continuing to do this, we'll definitely do that. But I love you. God bless you very much.
There you go, sir. I don't know why I walk behind the TV. Come on, Pastor Pearl. Yeah, that'd be great.
So I don't know that there actually is a good way or a good answer to this question. It's one that I think I've struggled with a lot in church, particularly with church, because we are community building. And I think if you have any insight on how we, particularly with like ministry teams, when we are developing ministry teams, it seems like we either have a really good bit of the leaders really good at bringing in new people and kind of taking them in, but then easily getting overextended, worn out, tired, that kind of trying to invest in everybody. And then there's, they're given so much that they're exhausted. Or you can easily have something kind of different where you have like a tight knit community and everybody works really well and there's joking and there's camaraderie. But then when new people try to come in, it's like everybody recognizes we have some, especially like a lot of times these are really healthy groups because those people often have boundaries, but then there's no space within their realm to keep, like they've kind of maxed out their, we're tight and we're good. And now someone else new is trying to come in and we don't know how to incorporate that. You know what I'm saying? So as a leader, it's hard to figure out how do we build those communities with our people and with ourselves and be genuine, but it also be inclusive without overextending ourselves to where, as a leader, we try to lead by example, but it can easily get us overextended to try to balance that. Does that make sense? Is that question working? Okay. So that was my question. And I don't know that there's a great answer, but.
Great, thank you. So perfect question. And the first thing that I would say is we train people in order, you're training everyone. We kind of alluded to it towards the end, whether you're at work, whether you're in church, whether you're, volunteering or whatever, you're training everybody. You have to remember to take your place. Okay. Because there are going to be days where you can't make it. You might not feel well, this and the other. So everybody has to be trained to replace you. So you're developing a succession plan because the entire time that you're doing this leadership thing, you have to be looking for the person that can step up. Because like you just pointed out, eventually I'm gonna get worn out. I'm gonna get tired. So that's why it's important for you to spread yourself, but not thin. You have to spread yourself and you have to know your limitations, but you have to be deliberate in making sure, we have to be deliberate in making sure that everybody gets that small piece of you. And they all have to get the same small piece of you. People are very territorial, as you've already pointed out. And she said she has 63. My heart bled for her because I have 25. And I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness. But the bottom line is, if one of her 63 feels like I'm getting more attention than they're getting, that's a problem for not me, but for her. Now they'll hate me, but they'll try to wear her out by getting more of her time than me. You see what I'm saying? So the balance of it is, the important thing is make sure you're training so that you can be replaced. The other thing is delegate more than you normally would. But delegate intelligently, meaning I'm going to delegate this to you because if something goes wrong here, we're not going to necessarily fail. I'm not going to let you fail, but you might do something along the way that's going to cost us. No, we're not going to give you the $50 million project and just say, go do it. We're going to give you the $20 project and we're going to see how it goes. I don't know if I'm making sense. So it's a slow progression, but the ultimate thing is, like I said, training for your succession, delegate, but you have to pace yourself. What you're talking about right now is not a fast process by any means. It is not a fast process. And the unfortunate thing is, no matter how much of yourself you share, no matter how much you delegate, no matter how much you train, there's always going to be somebody that's going to want more of you.
I want this to run so effectively. When I home, like, I want you guys to do something like home that you don't necessarily need. So I try to make that story enough of me so that they see that we can practice it. Recognize that what really pouring into them. So that I'm creating a house. Even looking at the cost, where are the leaders of the people? Looking at the people that come in, the new people that walk. She could be a great leader for grading. She could be a teacher. So how do we identify that early so that when we have leaders that are really can we identify that?
That's a great point, Tanika, because I would be remiss if Pastor Pearl and I are the ones that always have to identify new leaders. That's the responsibility of everyone to notice things, not only notice them, but also encourage them and then pass the information upline. We talked about community and you're talking about having that close knit group. I think sometimes it is challenging when you have a group that's already come together, we're tight, and letting somebody new in. Because it's funny, we had a men's group that we've been running for over a year, and we're getting together this afternoon in person for the first time. But me, I have inclusiveness. I have other friends. So part of me is like, no, it's just these guys. But then there's the other part, man, should we invite some other guys? And that's something that you have to work on and be intentional about. And sometimes maybe it's not even organic. Maybe somebody's not necessarily trying to come to the group, but maybe you do have somebody that you're thinking about, hey, they would be good to come into this group. So that's one thing. Hey, guys, we are at time. I am so excited about this training. It was amazing. I'm going to put my brother out there. God has called him to write leadership books. So that is coming. And it was funny because when God spoke that to me, he said, yep, I just got that same word the other day. So that's going to be coming. Thank you for attending today. We appreciate everybody that came out. Pastor Pearl and I's heart and desire is whoever's supposed to be at the place will be at the place. We love everybody before they come, while they're here, and when they go. So we wanted this leadership to be open and inclusive. We invited some others. And so we're looking forward to what God's doing. I know we may be small in number right now, but we're building a foundation. And we don't want the walls to go up too quick. We want the foundation to be solid. And what do they say? For it to be settled, everything to shift and get into place. So that is it. Pastor Pearl, can you just come pray for us before we leave? And we're going to quickly clean up, and then we are going to see you tomorrow. Brother Tony is delivering an awesome message tomorrow called What is Man? Be here, invite a friend. We're excited.
Thank you so much, Trina, for sharing your husband. Thank you, Tony, from us. And for the people that are here, my ask, and Zoom, my ask is that you now ask God, now that I have this and some things you reminded me of, some things is new to me, what is it that you want me to do and how and when, so that this doesn't become more information that just sits on information that we don't do anything with. Father, we come before you this morning and we just have hearts that are just so grateful and thankful. Father, first, before we even pray for us, we lift up again to you people, our family, our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine, people all over the world, that this morning sitting and listening to a leadership training is the furthest ask that they have from you. They have to ask for safety, for water, for food. And so we lift them up, God, and we stand in the gap and we ask that a miracle becomes available. May peace reign in our world in the name of Jesus. And God, as your children, may we give what we can to help knowing that that is what you've asked us to do, to be your hands and your feet. And God, we thank you for this training that we just had. Thank you for Tony and Trina for making themselves available. God, thank you for everything they've poured out into this time. May we take this time as a seed and be responsible steward of that seed. God, we pray that where we need to further develop ourselves, give us the discipline to do what needs to be done. Father, give us the heart for your word and the heart for your people. And Lord, as we leave this place and never your presence, we pray that our families will be enriched for the time that we were away from them, that we will implement these leadership training first in our families, God, so that we can continue to build healthy families and a healthy community for you. We honor you and we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.